the misconception is people that are creative all the time. And there's definitely moments where I'm like, have all these creative ideas. It could be an array of any, it could be from a song to a business idea or an art piece, whatever. But for me, it has just really mostly been about like kind of, I don't want to sound weird, but frequency, energy.
Mm-hmm.
Like music is so important to me. So music really kind of how a room feels and things like that inspire me. Like I always used to say, like some artists would say colors or nature or going to the ocean. But for me, what inspires me most is energy in a room.
Welcome to the Mobile Podcast Trailer. My name's Jesse, and today I am joined by my friend Tyler. And I'm going to have him tell you a little bit about him today. This is going to be more of a whimsical conversation, less structured. We're going to talk God. We're going to talk church. We're going to talk hair.
Sweet.
All things that Tyler loves.
Let's go.
talk family. Talk about being a dad.
Yes.
And husband and life as a whole. So
let's do it.
Here we are, and we're gonna get cooking. Tyler, tell us a little bit about yourself. Give me like a 30-second hook of who you are and how you ended up where you're at today.
Yeah, I'm an intense, energetic, passionate human being. I love to impact people. I am a husband, a dad, and I really love that. And I'm an entrepreneur, a creative, and I used to say that I was a hairdresser. That would be my first thing because my job somehow became my identity.
Right.
But now, really is just about kind of like the things that God's given me. That's who I am.
Yeah.
And so being energetic, having a lot of energy, and being creative, and being a dad and husband, and all those other, everything else just kind of fits in.
So, like, what does it look like for you being a creative and a dad and a husband? Like, how does your creative brain work? How do you step into that?
Yeah.
Do you find yourself notching out time, or are you more like free flowing?
Yeah, I'll use your word, whimsical about it. Because like I think the misconception is people that are creative all the time. And there's definitely moments where I'm like, have all these creative ideas. It could be an array of any, it could be from a song to a business idea or an art piece, whatever. But for me, it has just really mostly been about like kind of, I don't want to sound weird, but frequency, energy.
Mm-hmm.
Like music is so important to me. So music really kind of how a room feels and things like that inspire me. Like I always used to say, like some artists would say colors or nature or going to the ocean. But for me, what inspires me most is energy in a room. That's why being a hairdresser is so important to me, because when I go into a salon, the music's cranking, there's chatter going on, there's a smell, there's just a vibe.
Right.
And
right.
And same thing for a church. It's any room that I'm going to be in, I'm inspired by the energy.
Yeah.
Our table, when we eat dinner, from when I was a kid till now, is not a quiet, experience. We're all talking over each other, and we're passionate, and we're telling stories, and old stories, new stories,
Yeah.
And so energy is a lot to do with what gives me ideas and things like that.
So let's like back up to, your childhood.
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about kind of the family dynamic that you grew up in,
Cool.
and where kind of, because really, I would say, in my opinion, family dynamic kind of fosters whether you're creative or not. So,
Yeah.
because I feel like all of us are creative because of our creator.
Mm.
And we already know that, like, you're a miracle, right?
Right.
Like, from the drop, you've won the race already. A lot of people don't realize this. We've already won. We're here.
Mhm.
There,
So
we beat out so many, right? So, like, to make it through conception
mm,
to birth to living to where we are now, like, every single life that we see out there is a miracle.
sure.
And you being one of those miracles, where did the creative journey start? Tell me about, like, family and
Yeah,
stuff like
so
that.
I have a unique situation with my family. Like my parents met really young, got married, got divorced when I was 3, and I had a really unique opportunity to live in kind of two separate worlds. We live here in Arizona, and there's a lot of snowbirds. Well, I
Mhm.
was a snowbird as a kid,
Oh,
right? So I'm
interesting.
here in Arizona for school time, and then when it was summertime, I'd go to Seattle, Washington, when it's the best time of the year to be there. So, my childhood was really good. And of course there were things that would happen that were could be labeled bad, but also those things have transformed me into who I am today.
Right.
But yeah, I had a mom who believed in me so much. She would always tell me that I could do anything that I wanted to do. Um, really just always supported me in that. Um, she's an artist. She's a musician too.
Okay.
She's a great mother. She is a prayer warrior. Um, and so there was always so much support, uh, and allowed me to be a boy, to jump my bike and ride rollerblades. And, mom was mostly home with us during the day, and she would tag my stepdad in, and he'd watch us and she'd go wait tables, and they just were always grinding,
Hmm.
always doing their thing to keep us going. Um,
The 80s grind.
the 80s grind. And I had a brother who's 5 years younger than me, and a sister who's 8 years younger than me. And so we had this family dynamic, but the unique part was would get to disappear. I would get to leave that dynamic and go to a whole different experience. My dad was a longshoreman. He worked on the docks, or on the railroad area over there on the docks. And so he's a little bit of a rougher kind of guy, a man's
Mhm.
man. He wasn't in sales or in business like my stepfather. And so he kind of had different likes. He liked going to the river and hanging out on the beach and looking for beach glass and, rocking out, listening to music and spending time doing that kind of stuff. So I got to see that. And I would always hang out with my cousins and things like that. And they were always older than me. So I got a little bit more roughed up and tough there, where you know, in Arizona, I was always the oldest.
Okay.
But then when I went to Seattle, I was always the youngest. So it's a unique scenario where I get to live two kind of lives, the snowbird lifestyle. Um, so yeah, that's kind of how
Well,
that started.
that's pretty unique. And in like in today's society, I feel like we try to protect so much of that
Hmm.
scenario where, like, oh, don't get hurt.
Yeah,
You know, you're riding rollerblades. Make sure that you have a helmet, arm
sure.
guards, shin guards, knee pads, elbow pads.
Right.
A full face helmet. And we're always, like, overprotecting the heck out of our kids.
Sure.
It's just like, what's funny is, Eli's sitting here. He's 13 years old, and he would say for sure that the way that we parent our younger two kids versus the way that we parented him and his older sister are vastly
Yeah,
different.
I'm sure.
Um, it's like a constant, like, his older sister Jocelyn will constantly be like, "Oh, don't do that," and And I'm like, nah,
Yeah.
let it happen. If he falls, he's going to learn that he didn't like that.
Yeah.
Like, but when we were young parents, we were so protective of our kid getting hurt. Mainly, I think, because we just didn't want to deal with the pain.
Sure.
Because when we deal, when we can't, we have no control over it. And so we feel helpless. When our kids are in pain, we're like, oh no. Whereas like in the 80s, if we got hurt, it mainly was because we were off in the desert somewhere or off in the sticks somewhere, and we fell, cut ourselves, and we had to like figure out how to survive.
Sure. Yeah.
Rather than like nowadays, we're surrounded by our kids always.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's like there's no room for them to live, two separate lives,
Mm.
where, you did get to grow up in in an environment that was fostering your creativity, and it sounds like a cool family unit.
Yeah.
And then you got to go off to your dad, where it sounds like he loved you in a very different way, but didn't love you less.
No,
He just
no,
loved
for
you
sure.
differently.
Yeah.
And fostered that that heart of adventure.
Yeah. My mom's house being in Arizona, this is where, I was first introduced to church and the Lord and what that looked like. And because I was creative, it was real simple for me to see what heaven and hell looked like.
Right.
And because I had opportunities to make mistakes, I actually could feel what sin felt like too.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's like a home with a mom, a dad, and siblings, and school and church life, and then there was a family where it was me and dad, and we were,
So he didn't get remarried.
he didn't when I was younger, but he did
Okay.
later down the line, which is a total crazy story.
I bet.
And so, yeah, it was just me and him and the family, the cousins,
Right.
the support system, right? And dad was about, listening to music, hanging out,
Yep.
and having a good time. Every day was a weekend, not overspending, really focusing on, just what can we do to chill,
Yeah, for sure.
Because he worked so hard,
right.
physically,
Well, and that, I think too, that's another part of our society that I think is missed, because so many people go to cubicle jobs now, and it's like the only opportunity for us to work out is at the gym, instead of like going and like putting forth all of your energy and effort into your day job.
Yeah.
Of like true hard work, like there aren't very many people doing construction, and like there's a lot of people doing construction, but there are very few doing it well, and day laborers are always, beat.
Yeah.
But
And it's even more rare to see those guys who are doing it well, who are up early, swinging hammers, and then they're also at the gym. You know what I mean? And so like my dad, for example, I was just having this conversation with him when he was here last, is because I started training, and obviously he can tell, and he's just like, I can't believe you do that stuff. He's like, I used to just lift, heavy stuff all day at work. The last thing I'm going to do at the end of the day of work is go and lift up some stuff at the gym,
Yep.
And so it's just a different world. A funny story about, we're talking about getting hurt, I was like 3 years old, no training wheels, hanging out with the kids out in the front yard with my dad, right? Summertime. That's pretty young. Grab my bike that I just got, and we're going, he sees me, looks out the window and sees me going down the hill, about to hit this jump, right?
Yep.
Well, dad, he analyzes pretty quickly that a round rock with a square board is not a great idea.
Yep.
And he didn't scream my name, just so I didn't take the eye off the ball.
Right.
And so I did the jump and landed it. But to go back to your point, is like, we do spend a lot of time yelling out their name before they do something slightly dangerous. And I sometimes look back to that story that my dad tells about me, and it's like, just let him do it.
Yeah.
Because we do have skills that can help us, if we do crash, roll the right way.
Yep.
And if we don't ever get to use them because
if you don't ever learn,
Yeah.
you don't get the chance to do it.
Yeah.
So
Well, I had an opportunity once. We were riding with my daughter Wynn, and she's a gymnast and she's awesome, but the front wheel of her scooter just fell off. And we know it's like that's the worst fear ever.
Yep.
She's cruising on her electric scooter, front wheel's off, and she does a tumble. She kept her chin off when I was like, wow, she knows how to fall.
yeah, the instinct is there.
Yeah.
Yeah. On a completely other
Yeah.
side, when I was about 5 or 6 years old, I was riding my bike out front, popped a wheelie, and the front tire fell off. And I did a Superman, and I can't remember it. I'm pretty sure it was my lip, but I, did the wheelie, tire fell off, Supermaned over, busted open my lip. I didn't get stitches, but like they glued it back together. And man, like we try to keep our kids out of that problem.
Yeah.
I think mainly because we spent a lot of time getting hurt, and we're like, oh, I don't want to deal with that pain.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy how different our cultures are from when we were kids to now our kids' lives. What's like in the vein of creativity when I'll say it this way. So Tyler and I met at Dream City Church doing the Christmas show, celebration of Christmas, probably
3 years ago.
3 years ago. We've done it for 4 years. So our family's been involved with that show for 4 years. We met 3 years ago. So he's a singer. I'll just say that. It's a lot easier that way. When did this, creative, like how many different creative routes did you go in?
Yeah.
Have they always been centered around faith?
Oh, that's a good one. I think they haven't always been centered around faith because we have this thing called pride and ego.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately,
wait, you have that?
Yeah, I do pray that the Holy Spirit purges that out of me every day. It's kind of a mantra that I do. So, but yeah, I think that, I was always gifted with this energy, and always was the kid that was like, Mom, look at me. I want to show you this. So I always had this performative energy. And my dad would always be like, son, I'm right here. Why are you yelling at me? So I've always had this voice that's loud and travels.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always been a talker. I've always loved to storytell. And so that got me in a lot of trouble in school.
Right.
And so you have these things that are sometimes negatives, but also they're very creative. And so when they got packaged together, I loved when I went to school, we had choir and band and all these things still.
Yeah.
I don't know if ever in art, and those are in PE, of course, those are the things that I really thrived and loved.
Mm-hmm.
English and mathematics and all that stuff was like the least of my worries. And so I really think it was developed over time, just with support with peers and, but then when I went to Dream City, when I was, I think I was 16.
And you are how old?
I'm 40 years old.
Okay.
40. And the whole fitness thing was I wanted to get in the best shape of my adult life by 40. And we accomplished that, which I was excited about. But anyway, so
we'll talk about fitness.
Yeah, let's get into that too. I'm really pumped up about that. But I always would close my eyes in the shower and be thinking I was singing in front of an audience.
Mm-hmm.
And Christian music back at that time was a little corny.
That's a good word.
Yeah. But then as I started at 2003, 2004, Christian music started sounding a little bit more Euro, a little rock and roll, a little
Yep.
like had a little bit more vibe. And I come from, Seattle, Washington, where the grunge thing was happening. And so
Yep.
music, I felt music always. And so the singing part just kind of came from singing,
Yep.
And then I did have an experience with somebody in the church who was a good friend of mine. I won't say their name, but like basically he also was a worship leader and a singer and was like, why don't you leave the singing to me? And at that one moment I was gutted and I didn't do any singing or any worshiping uh, in group settings again.
So wait, were you on stage?
No, this was just like, in a friendly, sitting on the couch, learning how to play the guitar and singing situation. And then I did have an opportunity to sing in front of people at one point, and that's kind of when that went down. He was like, after that, I thought it was a it was successful, but at that point, I think there may have been a little competition going on, but I just didn't have the confidence.
I love church hurt.
Yeah, church is kind of interesting. I got not a lot of it actually. Church has been a very positive thing, but I had an important event happen that I felt like maybe two of them that I have worked through, mostly because I'm so integrated into what the orchestration to produce church to
Right.
produce an environment for the church to enjoy. Right. That helped me actually with seeing how we're all human beings and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't when I had a personal encounter with the Lord and several times, but like a real personal one as an adult man who has made really poor decisions, and I just wanted to serve after that. And then once I got into serving, just shaking hands and smiling at people in the children's lobby, I randomly met Pastor Adam, and we chit-chatted for a bit. I told him my testimony real quick. He asked me if I had any musical gifts, and they had a call at church where they're like, hey, if you have any interest in becoming a worship leader or having any of these things, film a video and send it to us. Well, I never sent it to him, but I did film the video.
Right.
Because I thought it was terrible. And so
that's the negative part of self-taping.
Yeah. And so so I thought it was so terrible, and we were just chit-chatting, and that's a long story, but we were chit-chatting, and I showed him the video, and he's like, let's have a meeting. And so that was like 5 years ago.
Right on.
And so I've been a worship leader, and in some of the biggest auditoriums and smallest ones as well. But the crazy thing is when I was in the shower with my eyes closed, singing and just being a kid, I pictured all those people. And I always wanted to be famous.
Right.
I always wanted to be an influencer. Being a hairdresser, I always wanted to make the most. I wanted to be on stage, and I wanted to do all the things.
Yep.
And when I became a worship leader, I realized that God put me there, and it fulfilled all of the self kind of desire to want to stand out.
Right.
Because not that I stood out because of talent or anything like that, but I was just in the room on the platform in front of all those people. And it was just like, that's what I was desiring.
Yep.
And the Lord used all my gifts and all my talents, which He's given me, if I was using them for His good or not. And then once I started using them for His good, He put His hand on it. And then the next thing you know, you're singing Lion the wrong way in front of Joyce Meyer.
That's the way it goes. That's the way it goes.
Yeah. So yeah, I probably got off topic there a little bit, but I mean, at the end of the day, the gifts were always there.
Mm-hmm.
And the support was always there. One person says something, you start believing that it's true. You don't do it forever. You have an encounter with the Lord, and then the Lord shows you that He can meet all of the things that you've ever wanted.
Yep. Yep. Well, I have a similar situation too, where we always, early in high school, started a band with my friends. We quickly became the youth worship band, and we were the first youth worship band for our youth group. And when that came about, they were like, hey, let's go on the road. And we did a small run to a Church of God conference in Cincinnati, Ohio. And so we led worship at several different places along the way. And I was just like on cloud nine. I was like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And so from that point forward, that's like what we chased.
Yeah.
And then in 2004, I went on the road with a band that I was in, and we were chasing this record deal. We were supposed to do 35 shows in, 35 cities, and we had 25 lined up in various universities and small colleges along the South. And show number 2, our manager calls us and says, we lost all those shows. And we were like, what?
Mm.
And he was like, well, we didn't have the right insurance policy to carry the shows. And in my head, I was like, why don't we have the right insurance policy? Like, come on, like, where do we get it? That seems like an easy solution. So long story short, we ended up having to find the 35 shows. So we're on the road and in places that we've never been before, in a bus that should have never left Arizona, powered by propane, because that was the propane boom of clean energy.
Yeah.
And we got back, did the 35 shows, got back, didn't get signed. And we were just constantly chasing that fame, and honestly, it probably wouldn't have ever amounted to much to begin with.
Yeah.
But when I got back, one of my buddies said, like, look at our friend. We have a friend that would come in from Nashville once a month to lead worship. And back in Nashville, he was a studio guy, singing on, the Gaither Band and all of these different like big Christian artists, the kind of the cheesy, hokey Christian artists, but he was a really good singer. And it looked effortless from our perspective. And my buddy was like, look at Marsh. Like, Marsh doesn't even try. And he's getting phone calls every day. And you're trying really, really hard. Like, do you ever think that maybe, like, this isn't what you're supposed to be doing? Like, maybe you're not good enough, basically. And I actually, like, internalized that for a really long time with anything. Like, always thinking that I wasn't good enough to be an entrepreneur, good enough to be a musician, good enough to be a public speaker of any kind, like to be on any kind of platform.
Yeah.
And this is long before social media entered the space. But man, that kind of hurt of, like, I'm sure my friend didn't intend to impact my life that much that day, but it did.
Yeah.
And it rocked me.
But the enemy knew that was going to impact you that way.
Oh,
which is
bro.
why that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that chase you're talking about, I chased a lot of, hopes and dreams, and sometimes it's God, and sometimes it's actually the enemy just taking you off the path that the Lord has you on. And being a hairstylist, I climbed to the top of the ladder pretty quickly with this big national worldwide company. And I desired it so much. I was ready to, I literally essentially I changed my whole self to become the character that I needed to be, for this
Well, dude, aren't we
for this deal.
always just playing a character anyways?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of that pride and ego thing that I said before that I'm trying to purge out all the time, you know. So when you got to identify like when you're willing, what are you willing to do for that?
Right.
And at this point, to get on stage doing hair, I was willing to become someone else.
Yep.
And jeopardize my marriage, my life, my business that I had that was going really well, but all for fame, baby. I was just chasing it. God shut it down as fast as it could go once it was getting out of control. And I thought this was like me being not good enough. But man, later down the line, I just have identified that how God works in your life, and not every good thing that you want is actually coming from Him.
Yeah,
it might be coming from the enemy to distract you from the path in which that you should be on.
Absolutely.
You know.
So what is that? You know, that moment. Well, let's go like this. You've been a hairdresser for how long?
21 years.
Is hairdresser the right word?
Hairstylist, hairdresser. I say hairdresser because it's old school.
Yeah.
Because I've been in it since pre social media.
Right.
All the social media people would say they're hairstylist or hair artist now. That's the good one.
I love that.
Yeah, hair artist. Yeah, that just might mean that you don't want to follow the form and structure of how it's supposed to be done. But it's okay.
Yeah.
It's their preference. They can do it how they want.
You do what you want.
Yeah.
I guess if it gets clicks, that's what everybody's trying to do these days.
Yeah. So I've been a hairstylist. I'm like third generation, actually, like way great. That dude was like, grandpa was serious, like doing the queen's hair and stuff like that.
Oh, dope.
Yeah. I think Depression era that'd be 4 grades, right? Depression?
I don't know.
Anyway, the Great Depression, he did hair, fed his family, the whole thing, like killed it being a hairstylist. And then my mother for a short period of time, and then me. I was influenced by a guy in Seattle, Washington who was ripped, drove a Dodge Viper, and kissed all of his clients on the lips. And I just thought at 11 years old, that guy was the man.
Dude, let's back that up for a second.
Go ahead.
We're not even going to cover the kissing on the lips
I'm
part.
just saying, you know.
What was this dude doing to be, because a Dodge Viper at that time was like the American exotic of our generation, and that thing wasn't cheap.
Yeah.
And being a hairstylist at that time, like how many heads of hair is he cutting in order to afford that, or did he have chairs?
No, he was a hairstylist, and you know he did some modeling stuff. But the misconception, like if you Google like what a hairstylist makes, you know it's like less than $40,000 on average, right? And so, but the gap from 80 to 120. There's a significant amount of people, and then from 200 to 400,
Wait, you could make that much?
Of course. So it's all about demand, and it's all about supply and demand. Like, do you have a
following? I guess if you created the following, like there's this one hairdresser that I've seen on social media that has gotten a lot of heat because she'll come and like touch your hair for like 4 minutes and then roll out. Yeah. I don't know her name.
And that's an old practice. I know who you're talking about just with what you're saying.
Yeah.
And that's an old practice. That's been going on forever in the industry.
Well, I think that's pretty common with
the boss comes in, does the important stuff. The assistants come in and do what they need. She would do what we call the money spot, where the stuff that you're going to actually see, and then move on. Doesn't do any of the busy work. And that's been happening forever. But now with this world of what we call like, I don't know what the word is, but they basically just do one thing and that's it. Specializing, right? They specialize in one thing, which works great. Didn't work in my era. You had to know how to do everything as much as you could to make money. You just had to be able, every head you could do. But now with social media, you can get a niche. We listen to all these social media gurus saying get a niche and
Yep.
sell that, right? And so that's what the people have done with hairdressing as well. And the people that have a niche, they don't have that many clients. And so
Totally.
what ends up happening is they need to spend all the time. But if you get a niche, for example, and you blow up on social media, like we're talking superstar status, and everyone wants you, but you need to make the money because you've taken things and you've opened
Yep.
5 salons and you're this and that, and you're the one that makes all the money, but everyone else doesn't have a draw at all.
Yeah.
You gotta spread it out somewhere.
Yep.
So, but if you're just a solo hairdresser and you're not that busy, do it all. But if you're her, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm actually for her on that. Right now, I don't do that because I don't have that many clients. But
Right.
I'm for her doing what she's doing. You're still coming to her.
Right. Right.
She's still driving a Rolls Royce, so I don't think she.
Is she? Really?
I don't think she really is. I'm just picked a fancy car.
Okay, I was like, dang.
Yeah.
But she probably could. You know, I think.
Yeah,
that,
sure.
Well, theoretically, I guess, if you really wanted to, we all could.
Yeah.
If we wanted to.
I had a really
afford payment.
I had a client, and I was like, what do I got to do to get that? And he's like, you have to have $30,000 down and $1,100 a month, and you can have a ghost. I was like, He's like, you just lease them. So anyway,
it's like it really
priorities,
dude. I don't know if you've paid attention. There's this dude in Phoenix. I don't know if he actually lives here, but he's got a pizza shop called Strad Pizza.
Mm-hmm.
And
heard of it.
Stradman on YouTube has all of these like baller cars. Like he's got this Koenigsegg. Not sure if you know what that kind of car that is, but it's like a hypercar. It's $1 million hypercar. But the thing is that he leases his cars.
Yeah.
Well, at least from what I know. I don't know if he leases all of his cars, but the Koenigsegg was leased. And he was like, well, here's the deal. The reason why I leased it is because I could put less money down and have a higher monthly payment. But the thing is that the appreciation of the car is on the rise. And so I could offset all of my payments and the down to basically build the appreciation. Then I can sell it at the end of the lease to somebody, and I'm going to make $300,000
wow
on the car. And I never even owned the car. And I got to utilize it for 3 years, put a few thousand miles on it, and then I'm going to sell it for more than I bought it for. And he's like, if you could do that with houses, that would be rad.
Yeah.
If you could lease a house and then go, well, I can sell it for more and walk away with the cash. That'd be a dope strategy. That a lot of people would be doing that.
Man, this kind of goes off topic, but I'm an entrepreneur because I'm a creative, because I like building stuff. It's also what my name means. It's like a layer of brick, right? So a foundational builder. Once it starts getting to the making a profit thing, I really start fizzling out and wanting to go. It's like my wife the other day was like, maybe we should start doing nonprofits, because like we're not ever trying to like. You just want to do the thing, and then once you're done doing the thing, you want to do the new thing.
Right.
So if it's a nonprofit, at least you have more strategy.
Yeah.
You're talking about strategy with these cars and with these people's businesses. And I thought that was kind of funny. We were like, maybe I'll just start doing nonprofits, because you could still make a livable wage in your nonprofit that you have.
Oh, totally.
You just can't take it to a whole new level, and you're on a
that's a whole
tax bracket. I don't want to get into all that, but
that's a whole nother thing. But like, would you say that? Because I think that you haven't really mentioned it too much, but there's a strong possibility that both you and I have ADHD.
ADD has been real good to me.
Yeah.
I got this line, is like, I make coffee nervous, bro.
Like I call it ADLD,
Okay.
attention deficit lazy disorder,
Oh.
instead of hyperactivity, because I don't really feel like I'm super hyper.
Yeah.
I'm pretty laid back, but I get I get that way. Like I built this whole thing.
Yeah, it's beautiful, by
You
the
know,
way. It's
thank you.
unbelievable, actually. I'm very impressed. And I've built a lot of things and have a lot of creative ideas, and this is epic, man.
Well, so I got lucky, okay, and this is this is God like putting pressure on me. So, several years ago, I got this idea. Um, it's just a phrase called "create before you consume," and basically, about 10 years ago, I was in a place where I was creating content for a small business, but I was waking up and just like loading in on what's going on Instagram before I started putting forth any effort into the day. And so I'd get derailed early, and then I'd have to spend the whole day like building back up the momentum to get back into it. And God gave me this phrase, create before you consume. And I put it out on, TikTok and on the internet, and then I didn't really do anything with it. And I was watching Gary Vee one day. I don't know if you know who Gary Vee is.
Yeah, and by the way, he's only missed once since I've been following him. Everything that he's said has hit. All his ideas and all his things have hit, except for one thing.
What's the one thing?
NFTs.
Yes. Okay, we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that.
But I know I've met him once, and I've also been a follower of him for a long time.
Yeah.
So
he had this chick, Marie Forleo, on, and she had just released a book, and which I've had an idea for a book in my head for 20 years, mainly dealing with like how I mentally think about myself. I'll eventually write the book, but it's called We're All Mental. And nobody can steal it because I already have everything.
Let's go.
But he brought on Marie, and she's like, he's like, so tell me a little bit about your book and tell me a little bit about you. And she goes, well, what I try to do is I try to live by this phrase, create before you consume. And so I try to do that every day. And the moment that she said that, I hit pause. And I was like, what just happened? And I felt like God had said, you did nothing with it. And so I gave it to somebody else that would. And there are several ideas and things along the way that God gave me that I feel like he just kind of was like, well, I guess you didn't. So
sure.
Here it goes to somebody else.
Wow.
iPod video, workouts and stuff like that. That was a whole nother idea I had before anybody was doing video workouts on, social media and stuff. This is before social media. But I felt like this, where we're sitting now, was the next thing that like all of 2025, end of 2024, I bought a little podcast player because I was like, I'm going to offer podcasting to my clients and they'll jump on it. Well, I learned that a lot of my clients wanted to, but they didn't have a place to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
And so they were like, well, this sounds neat, Jesse, but like, where are we going to set up?
Yeah.
And like, I don't even have space in my office
to
do it. And I was like, golly, what's going on? And one of my other clients was like, because I was looking at building out a Sprinter van.
Yeah.
And Sprinter vans are expensive.
Yeah, this is I'll tell you, like, we were talking offline, but like, I got all the equipment, got the mics, got all the stuff, and I'm creative, and I was like, I'm going to do this. And we felt it was just a disaster to try to do it on my own. I mean, I'm talking a disaster.
Well, dude, it's hard.
Yeah,
like,
it's very hard. And so
you got all of the equipment And then you get to the editing
Yeah.
and you're like, crap, I got to learn that too.
Yeah, and I already knew how to edit. And I knew sound.
Yeah.
Like, and it was not as easy, and you forget that we have an engineer here. Like, we forget that the sound didn't clip, or it didn't take, the one video didn't happen, and so you can't just stop the flow of the conversation. I guess you could, but like, it's a no-brainer. I think it's going to do great, and I'm excited that we're doing this because I want to tell all my friends, everybody I know about it.
Well, dude, tell everybody, because this thing is just stealing money from me.
Yeah. But I know most entrepreneur ventures do.
But to go back to what we were saying, like, I built it all, and now I like have to put it in motion.
Yeah.
And I just want to move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Like, so
this is why legacy is good.
I just want to put somebody else in it, and then tell them, like, okay, here's what I want you to do.
Yeah.
Here I'll build, the next piece of the puzzle are the systems that we need to have in place to do this. All of the technology that we have really is cool for this, but there are some things that we have to do. But all in all,
great. I'm looking around and I'm impressed, dude. So,
well, I don't know where, because whenever you create something, you think it's going to serve a purpose in like one area, and it ends up taking on a completely different shape.
Sure.
And so like my intent was to offer it to my clients in a monthly service package. So I basically have 3 packages on my website. A one and done, which means you get the trailer for 2 hours. All the editing and everything else comes for free. That's $800. A lot of people scoff at that because they go, well, it's a trailer. They think that because I'm in a trailer that it's going to be a discounted rate.
Yeah, it's a mobile studio.
It's like the trailer you're actually getting for free.
Yeah.
You're more or less paying for the editing.
Sure.
Of the content, because that's actually the hard part.
100%.
The hard part in this is, and I'm learning this because I'm forcing myself to be a little bit more consistent on social media so that it promotes the trailer. But like, I constantly battle with the fact that like I don't want to put out the content because I don't think that it's good enough yet. And it's like, but in order to get out there and to get the reps in, I've got to put out a boatload of content.
I had a mentor say, turn your camera to the side and press play all the time, and just put it out there.
Yep.
And you've heard Gary V talks about like, just put it out there. Just, who cares? Just put it out there. Just,
just say it.
Just do it. Just say it. Throw it out there. And now we know that there's, strategy. I know, but like, at first it's just about getting it out there.
Well, so here's the deal too. Like, I have a pretty strong opinion because everybody thinks that we need to go viral.
Yeah.
And we don't. You actually don't. If you went viral, then the positive thing would be your books would be full. Your schedule would be, overflowing, and that would be great. But if you actually just constantly are consistent with how you are putting up your content and you choose your consistency, so if it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or just Mondays or just Fridays, if you were to just consistently show up in an authentic manner, you will slowly build your book.
Yeah, for sure.
Gary V's strategy is different because of, he just says, throw up everything. And really what it is he wants you to have so many balls in the air. If one of them hits and goes viral for you, then you've thrown up enough, and it doesn't matter how many fall to the ground versus how many you actually catch. It's just a matter of, it's a numbers game. And for me right now, I'm running some Facebook ads in places where I I'm hopeful that they generate some good leads. But really what it is for me is I have to have enough conversation about the trailer
Yeah.
to start creating a buzz.
Yeah.
So that way because here's the deal. If I were to get 1 million views on a video and all of a sudden this thing wanted to be, used by, hundreds of people, I
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to service
Right.
100
Exactly.
people.
I heard from another mentor, I guess. I have a lot of mentors. Sometimes I listen to them, sometimes I don't. But sometimes I listen to them much later down the line.
Yep.
But it was, I don't want your 150%. I want your 80%. And people would trip out. Like, what do you mean? But
Yep.
what he means is, like, our football coach would be like, give it 150%. And I love my brother. He's like, there's no such thing as 150. Such thing as 150%.
Yeah.
But the idea is no one can give 100% all the time.
Yeah.
It's impossible. Even Jesus had to go up and have some anxiety calming moments up on the mountain. And sometimes it got intense.
Yeah.
Right? And so he said, give me your 80, but I want that 80 every day.
Yep.
And so the idea with what you're saying with this business that you're doing is if you can stay consistent, use the give, jab.
Yep.
Sell.
The jab, 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 right hook.
Well, yeah. But it's give, sell. That's what Gary would say. Give, sell. And so you do all the things. You're going to be posting content. You're getting guys like me to talk about my life and my business and stuff. And I'm going to be talking about you because I think this is amazing. I can't wait to use it. We will. We got something new dropping here coming soon. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, man, I've kind of adopted that 80% thing. Like, I don't always have to be full throttle, dude.
Yeah. Well, dude, it's hard. Okay, so both you and I like to work out. I spent 85 minutes in the gym today. I'm sure. Are you a morning gym or afternoon, evening?
Well, when I had I had a really great schedule where I only worked 3 days a week when I was rebuilding from a business that kind of went south. And it was awesome because I would go at 9 o'clock in the morning every day, and it was always the same. My workouts were the same. And I would do my walking at night. I would work out those 3 days a week at 9. And then on the other days, I would go right after work. So it was always a mixture. And that's I just work out whenever I can.
Yeah.
Now. But like, I have the ADHD. So I really don't allow myself to lay on the couch unless I have already paid for it, or if I'm laying on the couch watching a football game and I haven't done anything, I'm going to be like, you're going to pay for this, bro. So I have that. I guess you could call it discipline, but it's almost like a self, like you're not getting away with this.
Yeah. Well, it's like the consistency of, so I've been, let's see. So in my early 20s, I all of a sudden was just like, I'm going to start running. And I put on some shoes and I was like Forrest Gump and started running.
I got a Forrest Gump story too.
and then got married, and we got busy with having kids, and then I got heavy. And I looked at myself and I was like, I'm very tired of this. And so I got really, really lean. December of 24. And then I hired a coach, got super lean. And because Eli was like, I want a 6-pack. And I was like, I got to beat him to the 6-pack. And so I got a 6-pack. And then my coach was like, all right, now you got to put on some more muscle. And so I bulked up a little bit, and then I cut back down. And now I'm back on the way down, because once I hit 170, my brain loses it. It just thinks you're on the road to fat. And you can call it what you want.
Sure. Body dysmorphia.
Yeah, whatever you want.
Yeah.
It's my brain, and I know it's kind of jacked up.
Yeah.
But the thing is I am so much happier when I'm in a deficit, which is weird, because a lot of coaches will say, you know, when you're in a deficit, you're more prone to anger, and that's not true for me, because when I'm in a deficit, my brain's like, you're in control, and I like being in control of that. And when I am not in a deficit and I'm in a surplus, my brain goes, you're out of control. And so it's like trying to figure out, like, not that I need to always be losing weight, but like I need to be at a place where I'm in control and not in, it could be even maintenance.
Yeah.
But God has wired me in a way that I'm learning that, like, even though like I want the veins and I want the muscle mass, I'm not willing to put on the bulk to develop that. And I don't take an egregious amount of supplements to, you know, to kind of like, obviously I won't take steroids, but like I won't do those things because I just want to naturally get to where I am, rather than, you know, pumping my body full of, you know, when I was really young, I did like one round of a supplement that was like one molecule away from a steroid. And it didn't give me the results that I was looking for.
Yeah, pro hormones they call them.
Yeah. I don't even remember. All that stuff has changed so much.
I think that self-image is definitely something, just like we were talking about our creative ability and like, am I good enough? That with my gifts and talents, it's the same thing with your physical fitness. So, you know, like when you were saying, somebody's like, it's easy for your buddy, not easy for you.
Yep.
You're not good enough. Stop doing it.
Yep.
It's like, well, it's really easy for Tyler to get in shape really quickly, and it's not easy for some of my buddies.
Yeah.
But they can do it too. So it's just kind of a lie our brains tell ourselves.
Well, I think too, like, man, it really kind of comes down to what you allow the enemy to say to you.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't know if this is necessarily right, but I don't know if the enemy is actually always the devil. I think
sin.
I think you already have enough negative self-talk in you.
You have enough enemy inside you with your sin that you don't. He's already planted the seed. That
seed is germinating.
It's germinated. He's not messing with you, dude. He messed with you 10 years ago, bro.
He jacked you up.
Exactly. Yeah. So I love that. That is such a good statement, because it's not always the enemy, but guess what? It's sin.
Yep.
The sin that's been planted there, or that you keep going to the tree and eating the same fruit, like what you know not to do. Yes. Right? It's like,
that willpower, that the tree of my refrigerator at night.
I don't have a love, like, if I earn it, I'll eat a little chocolate here, a little that there, but I don't have an obsession with food, so I don't really have that problem. I have other issues. But for me, working out was something that I saw all the time in my home here in Arizona. And my grandfather was a gym guy. My stepdad was a gym guy. Like, we spent time in gyms. And then I became an athlete. And I started playing football. My dad always says there was a fork in the road. You were trying to be a little gangster thug, or you went to athletics and were just so great. It changed your life in that fork of the road.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I chose that, being an athlete in chicks versus chicks and
gang
members. It wasn't that bad, but poser, you know what I mean?
Oh, dude, oh, sorry.
We're-
I was a wigger too.
Yeah.
Um, and we need to wrap soon.
No problem, man.
But there's so much more. We could probably have so many more
Yeah,
conversations.
it's
Um,
fun.
But
Lots of clips in this that we got.
I know,
So
I know.
great for social.
Yeah. What I kind of to wrap up this conversation, what is the entrepreneurial if there's the 20-year-old, because now you're 40.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've hit that pivotal 40 mark. I'll be 45 this year, which sounds crazy. But the 20-year-old you, what would you say to that 20-year-old you that, to help them on the path to where
Yeah,
you
for
want
sure.
them to be?
Yeah, I would say slow hands equals fast work. And a lot of people talk about attacking quickly. You gotta jump on that opportunity. And sometimes slow hands equal fast work. What I mean is like you can move slowly and methodically and it still happened fast.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of that's deep to unpack. But then the other thing is if you have mentors and you're asking people questions and they're telling you, listen to them. You know?
Would you say though that sometimes those, I don't know, maybe they're not mentors in a way, but if you're not careful, those mentors can derail?
Sure. I I think that it's important to not have too many people speaking into you. You know, you have to have wise counsel.
Yeah.
And because sometimes your mentor could teach you so well that you can start doing things like them.
Mm.
And then they could start mentoring you in ways to take you to a place where you're not competing with them.
Yeah.
And I've had that happen almost every time I get real close to somebody. But yeah, so it's just move a little slower, take your time. I know that sounds crazy because I never do any of this stuff, but now that what I'm in now, I am.
Yeah.
You know, the grinding yourself to death is not where God wants you.
Yeah.
He wants you to walk in by faith, and that doesn't have anxiety or fear in it, even though it seems like it. But that's when Peter started going in the water.
Right.
When the fear came, it was a scary situation, but he was peace.
Yep.
And then it became fear, and then he started to sink. So, yeah, I would just slow down. Everybody's in a hurry.
Dude, so many people are in a hurry.
Yeah. And it sounds crazy to that coming out of my mouth because people know me as being like on X Games mode.
Yep.
But I've done a lot of good and a lot of great things in business, but I've also failed. Like I've also really had some hard lessons. And I'm okay with saying they failed. Some of them I lost.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't fail, I lost. There was a W or an L.
Yep.
And in that situation, I got an L. But guess what? I'm going to get up, back up. I'm going to train, and then I'm going to go play the game again.
Yep.
To get a W.
Yep. Well, I think that's kind of where we can wrap it up. Is the most important piece is that our society really puts a hard line on failure and it being a bad thing or a loss being a bad thing. And really, the loss or the failure is actually the lesson in the whole situation. The loss or the fail allows you to go, oh, that's what I don't need to do.
Yep.
And I can move forward from that instead of being depressed about the loss.
Yeah.
You can pivot and go, okay, I don't need to do that again.
Yeah, and you could take your time when you do get an L, the lesson. You can take your time, heal, get your mind right, get your faith right, get your body right, and then get back and go.
Yep.
It's really important to understand that there will be a day that you're going to be like, I wish I tried again.
Yep.
Where you're like, I wish I would have connected more with those people. I wish I would have done this. And so you have to, just because you were a bad friend once doesn't mean you don't ever go out and try to get friendships again with people.
Exactly.
This is you had a bad car accident doesn't mean you don't ever get back in a car.
Well, I think it's funny. I've used this as an analogy before, but like when our kids started walking, the instinct when they fell was to get right back up. But our society nowadays is like, oh, you failed. Don't get back up.
Yeah.
Just stay down. Just stay down and don't get back up on your feet. And that's not our natural instinct.
Yeah.
And we have to remember that God did not design us to be one, there's a lot of philosophy in that. God did not design us to be in cubicles. God designed us to be out creating things because we are most fulfilled when we are creating something. And I think that kind of puts a nice bow on our conversation because it goes back to what you were saying, like, okay, we did it. What's the next thing?
Yep.
And your wife saying that you should move into nonprofit work is a funny anecdote, but that is true. Like our hearts are not designed to be stuck in a creative lull. It's designed to constantly be moving forward and constantly creating because that's who our creator is and who we should be too. So, dude, thanks for hanging out.
This is awesome, man. We should do this again.
I would love to.
It's great.
I'll do it again and again and again.
We're gonna clip the heck out of this thing.
Yeah, I hope so.
Awesome.
Well, dude, thanks for hanging out with me.
Oh, you got it, brother.
He's got way bigger muscles than me. Goodbye.
Ah!